And Duke of York stands by decision to be interviewed over links to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Good afternoon and welcome to Independent Television World News with Sharon Ajay. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate David Leon winner of the 16th of November Bayelsa governorship election. The returning officer, Professor Sase Orumense, Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, announced at the INEC Collation Center in Yenogwa that the APC polled 352,552 votes, while PDP scored 143,172 votes. William Siama has details.
Declaring the APC candidate as the winner, Professor Oruwese explained that a total of 505,884 votes were cast, out of which 499,551 were counted as valid votes. Professor Oruwese returned Mr. David Lyon as the winner of the keenly contested election after scoring the highest number of votes in the poll. Professor Oruwese stated that a total of 992,562 voters registered for the election, while 517,893 voters were accredited. Mr. David Lyon of the APC won in Brass, Ekerebo, Nembe, Ogbe, Sataijo, and Yenogwa, while Diri of PDP won in Popokuma and Sagbama local government areas. Willen Siama reporting.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Bayelsa State governorship-elect Mr. David Leon, pointing out that his victory at Saturday's poll was very impressive. A statement by his media aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, said President Muhammadu Buhari also commended APC supporters in particular and Nigerians in general in Bayelsa State who exercised their civic rights in a peaceful manner, notwithstanding the pockets of unrest recorded in some locations. The president said he looked forward to working with the incoming government to improve the lives of the people of Bayelsa State while ensuring the security of lives and property of all citizens. President Buhari asked the Bayelsa governor-elect, Mr. David Leon, to carry out that divergent interests along in the next phase of governance, imploring those not satisfied with the outcome of the poll to seek redress through the constitutionally established channels. The president sympathized with families who lost loved ones during the polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate David Leon winner of the 16th of November Bayelsa State governorship election. The returning officer, Professor Sase Orumense, Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, announced at the INEC Collation Center in Yenogwa that the APC polled 352,552 votes, while PDP scored 143,172 votes. Moving on, the National Identity Management Commission has warned UTME candidates for 2020 to be wary of fraudsters while obtaining their national identity number. The commission, which gave the warning in Abuja, stressed that candidates are not supposed to pay any fee to obtain the national identity number. The commission's General Manager for Information Technology and Identity Database, Mr. Chuks Oyepunuka, gave the warning at a symposium organized by the Computer-Based Test Centers Proprietors Association of Nigeria for examination bodies in the country. Mr. Oyepunuka, who addressed newsmen, and explained that the introduction of the national identity number for the 2020 UTME would help the JAM to tackle double registration and biometric failures. The manager said the national identity number would help the board to also checkmate infractions Examination Board has made the national identity number compulsory for all candidates planning to write next year's UTM. You're watching the World News on Independent Television. Still to come, police surround Hong Kong Polytechnic University campus after a night of violence. Details of this and other stories from the foreign scene after this break. Just stay with him. Thanks a lot for staying tuned. And now from the foreign scene, police have surrounded the Hong Kong University campus after a fiery overnight standoff with hundreds of protesters inside. Dozens of protesters tried to leave after sunrise, but turned back as police fired tear gas and rubber bullets. The report. Fired because a large group of the police said tear gas was fired because a large group of masked rioters suddenly charged at condos. In the afternoon, another group of protesters tried to run from the campus, but many were arrested. A group of around 100 tried to leave Polytechnic University by a tunnel entrance, but as police fired tear gas, a number were detained. Others from the group then retreated to the campus. Police officers had previously said protesters could leave the campus via Cheong Wan Road South Bridge, but urged them to drop their weapons and remove their gas masks. But one pro-democracy legislator said inside the campus, Ted Hugh, said the bridge had already been sealed off, adding that it was not possible to leave through that way. Some 1,000 people, many of whom are students, still remain on campus. Demonstrators have been occupying the site for days as Hong Kong's violent protests continue to escalate. Earlier, the head of the university, Professor Jin Guan Teng, released a video statement to protesters saying he had arranged a deal with the police. Meanwhile, a Hong Kong court has just ruled that the government's anti-mask law is unconstitutional. Sharon Ajay reporting. In our back to our local stories, where the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared as inconclusive the rerun of election in Kogi West Senatorial District held on Saturday because the margin of win was less than the total cancelled votes. The Commission said that it would later announce a date for supplementary election in the area. The returning officer, Professor Olayinde Lawal, explained that the margin between the candidates of the APC Milaye is 20,570. Professor Lawal explained that the total margin between both candidates was lower than the 43,127 registered voters in 53 polling units of 20 registration areas in the zone where elections were cancelled. The returning officer who declared the election inconclusive said he decided not to declare a winner because of the slim margin between the two leading candidates. INEC said the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Smart Adeyemi, scored a total of 80,118 votes, while Senator Dino Milaye of the People's Democratic Party scored 59,548 votes. And now back to the foreign scene. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is in a very good health after completing phase 1 of his annual physical examination. The White House confirmed he underwent an exam and some laboratory tests on Saturday at Walter Reed Medical Center in Washington. The visit was not in the president's public schedule, and no details of the test have been released. It comes 10 months after an annual exam found him in very good health. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham said the latest tests were prompted by a free weekend in the president's diary, and that Mr. Trump remained healthy and energetic without complaints. During his campaign, he produced a letter that said he would be the heaviest individual ever elected to the presidency. His main Democratic rivals for next year's presidential race are also aged 70 or over. and personal health concerns have become a talking point on the campaign trail. And reports just reaching our studio says INEC has declared APC governorship candidate Yahaya Bello as winner of the governorship election in Kogi State. The returning officer who announced the result at the INEC Collation Center in Lokoja stated that the APC candidate polled for 106,220 votes, while PDP scored 181,704 votes. SDP candidate pulled 9,482 votes. Moving on, Sri Lanka's former wartime defense chief Gotabaya Rajapaksa has won a presidential election that has split the country along ethnic lines. Official results shows Mr. Rajapaksa 70 took 52.25% of the votes. Adetowa Ironoha reports that his rival Sajith Premadasa had already conceded.
Mr. Rajapaksa was the clear victor in Chialisi majority areas, while Mr. Premadasa scored better in the Tamil-dominated north. The election is Sri Lanka's first since the deadly Easter Sunday attacks. Militants linked to the Islamic State group targeted churches and high-end hotels across the island in April, killing more than 250 people. As a result, national security was seen as a dominant issue ahead of the vote. Mr. Rajapaksa, who has positioned himself as a strong figure who can assure Sri Lanka's security, is a high controversial figure among the country's more than 200 tyrants. He and his brother Mahinda Rajapaksa, the former president, spearheaded the defeat of separatist Timor Tigers record in 2009, ending a decades-long war in which at least 100,000 people died. Several journalists who were critics of the government when the Rajapaksas led Sri Lanka's from 2005 to 2015 were abducted, tortured and killed. After his election win, Mr. Rajapaksa made a call for unity in the country. Human rights groups expressed concern about accountability for wartime abuses which were committed by both sides, given the election of a man so closely associated with the end of the conflict. Mr. Premadasa, who took 42% of the vote, publicly conceded when partial results showed Mr. Rajapaksa was certain to emerge the winner. Turnout was 83.7%. The Election Commission said Mr. Rajapaksa is due to be sworn in at a ceremony today. Adesuwa Irunohai reporting.
Bolivian officials have flown basic provisions into the capital La Paz amid reports of food and fuel shortages. The system which officials want to roll out elsewhere is a move to bypass road blockades erected by supporters of former President Evo Morales. Adesuwa Ironoha again has details.
Mr. Morris signed on 10 November and later fled to Mexico after facing claims of electoral fraud. At least 23 people have been confirmed dead in ongoing political unrest. Interim President Jenny Anis, who is herself facing calls to resign, said on Sunday that she would call new transparent elections soon to help reestablish the country's democratic credibility. The former Deputy Speaker of the Senate, who is a fierce critic of Mr. Morris, declared himself interim leader on Tuesday after the president left the country. Her predecessor faced protest over accusations he rigged a vote on October 20 to win re-election. A UN envoy, Jane Arnott, has called for figures on both sides of the political divide to take part in critics' talks this week. It came after UN Human Rights Chief Micheline Bachelet warned on Saturday that violence in the country could spin out of control. Adesuwa Irunohai report.
The Duke of York stands by his decision to take part in an interview about his links to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. People close to Prince Andrew said he wanted to address the issues head-on and did so with honesty and humility. In the interview, the prince denied having sex with a then 70-year-old girl, Virginia Giuffre. For several months, the Duke of York had been facing questions over his ties to Epstein, an American financier who, at the age of 66, took his own life while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. A lawyer for some of Epstein's alleged victims asked the prince to talk on the road to the U.S. authorities. Ahead of Saturday's interview, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, wrote of her support for him on social media. But other royal experts also questioned the prince's decision to speak so publicly about his relationship with Epstein. Still on the foreign scene, rugby player Israel Folau has drawn anger for linking Australia's bushfire crisis to the nation's same-sex marriage and abortion laws. Folau, who was sacked by Australia in May for making anti-gay remarks on social media, described the fires as a little taste of God's judgment. 6 people have died since last month in blazes raging in eastern Australia. Prime Minister Scott Morrison condemned Folau's remarks as appalling, insensitive. Folau, who is Christian, gave a sermon in his Sydney church on Sunday in which he said Australia's decision to pass abortion and same-sex marriage laws had gone against God's word, adding the nation needed to repent. His comments sparked outrage from many Australians online who noted the widespread devastation of the fire. And now in the world news, a recap of the major stories. Police have surrounded a Hong Kong University campus after a fiery overnight standoff with hundreds of protesters inside. Dozens of protesters tried to leave after sunrise, but turned back as police fired tear gas and rubber bullets. We also reported that Sri Lanka's former wartime defense chief Gotabaya Rajapaksa has won a presidential election that has split the country along ethnic lines. Officials' results showed Mr. Rajapaksa 70 took 52.25% of the votes. And finally, the Duke of York stands by his decision to take part in an interview about his links to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. People close to Prince Andrew said he wanted to address the issues head-on and did so with honesty and humility. And as the world news is read by Sharon Ajayi. Join us tonight at 7:30 p.m. for our main news package. You have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now.
Independent television news, truly independent.
IREX Sports Bar and Lunch, situated in a serene environment, is well secured for your delight. Visit IREX Sports Bar and Lunch at 19th Street Junction, opposite Uniben Gate, Ubawa, Benin City, Edo State. For perfect relaxation and tasty meals, visit IREX and satisfy yourself with a variety of African, Nigerian, and continental foods, be it fried rice, jollof rice, pounded yam, eba, and other swallows served with delicious soup. Barbecue fish, pepper soup, owo soup, suya, ice cream, and snacks are also in the offing. Come and enjoy live band, DJ action while enjoying your delicious meals and drinks. IREX is stocked with cold drinks for your pleasure. Our courteous and respectful staff would ensure your comfort even as they attend to you. IREX Bar, opposite Main Gate, Uniben. Call 0706 858 9236. IREX, eat well, live well.
with Jesus.
Hooray! The opportunity you have been waiting for has come. The Cathedral Church of St. Francis of Assisi, Orthodox Anglican Communion, holds a 4-day indoors crusade in Benin City with the theme, Evangelism Our Supreme Task, Mark 6:12. You are invited to come and build with God His church and let Him build your life. Come, invest in the Church of God and you will reap unprecedented blessings in your life. You are invited to come with all members of your household and you will see what God will do for you. Ministering, Bishop Dr. Joshua Uba from Lagos. Chief host, His Excellency the Most Reverend Dr. Christopher Umane, Archbishop, Province of Nigeria, and President, Episcopal